Hello and welcome to Tennessee Valley this morning on WTMB. Joe and Kim Palo with you.
Got
middle
a
of the
full
week.
house early this morning.
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Always.
We always have a full house. But it's Wednesday.
It is.
And so it's been a good week. We've had no rain.
Yeah, or snow.
Or snow. We've had cold, but no rain, thank goodness.
Pretty days.
You know, it was
Except
weird.
the wind.
This past weekend was the first weekend without rain. It seemed like in the last 40 days and 40
Who knew
nights.
what to do? I mean,
I was building a boat. I don't have it finished, but
You'll
it's
never
close.
finish
If it starts again, it's a big boat. You'll find remnants of it years from now floating around in the Dead Sea and places like that. Just that's where they seem to go. Boats that you build and you put two of everything on.
You know, I saw. Well, never mind.
What? No, go ahead.
No, it's because I don't really remember what I saw. I remember bits and
That's
pieces.
never stopped you before.
I remember bits and pieces of the thought that I was having, but the whole thought's just not there. It's too early.
Right.
And so therefore I'm saying
Was it
never
something
mind.
about my boat?
No, the boat is not going to happen. So I mean,
Huh?
from 34 years with this man, there will be no boat. I don't care how
There'll
much
be
he
a
promises.
boat.
There will not be a boat.
It may be like a raft and I'm just the
No.
only one on it, but
and
there'll
if
be a
there ever
boat.
was a boat, we wouldn't be allowed to use it. We would just be
Kim,
allowed
if it
to
rains
put it in
enough
the
to where
living
we
room
have to,
of all places, with the rest of our
if it rains
junk
enough
that
where
we
we
don't
have to
use.
utilize it to stay alive, I promise. I
We
will
will
put the
all
boat in the
die.
water.
We are all going to
I will put the boat in the water.
That never got built.
But yeah, so with no rain, so we've
No
been
rain.
blessed with some nice weather, sunny
And no
skies.
Patriots in the Super Bowl.
That's even better. Those of you that now, now
I'm
there's
sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry.
No, we're
if you're
not.
a Patriots fan, shame on you.
well, if you're a Patriots fan, I'm sorry for you because yeah, they didn't
no,
make
I'm
it
just
this
mad
year.
at him.
They
Right,
didn't
and
make
I
it.
mean, and
Baltimore, and
Belichick
San
wouldn't
Fran.
even give an interview,
No.
big baby.
But you know what's
Silly,
interesting is the two coaches, the two brothers,
I
Jim
know.
Harbaugh, John Harbaugh, are going to
See?
play.
Be
Now-
like you and Sammy.
Yeah, but now we've talked about this. Like if we were the parents, you know, if you were the parents of Jim and John Harbaugh, who are both going to be in the Super Bowl, first of all, who do you root for? But
And you
one thing-
can't say it out loud, even if in your heart.
But you know what you can say? You
What?
can say, after this Super Bowl, my son will be the champion, world champion coach of the team that won the Super Bowl. Because either or, he wins, the dad. If either one wins, his son.
So you're going to make this about the dad? Really? This is going to be about you
Yeah.
somehow or another?
Yeah. Where do you think those two young men, or they're not that young, Harbaughs learned all their football knowledge from? Huh? From the dad.
From that dad.
From that dad.
Okay.
Not this
Just wondering.
dad.
It was not how to build a boat.
this
I can
dad.
tell you that.
But they could have.
They could
if they were mine.
They could have.
But yeah, so that's going to be interesting Super Bowl, and we'll see. I'm going to go on record. I'm going to say I'm going for Baltimore because
Right.
we're an AFC fan. Now, if New
but,
England would have
you
gone,
know,
we'd have had to
though,
gone for
I'm having a problem. I
What?
mean, Ray just really kind of aggravated
Kim, now
me.
you're going to upset a lot of people
Well, then
that
just
really
be upset, but he
are highly,
aggravated me. I
highly
mean, talk about
motivated by Ray
attention
Lewis.
to himself.
No,
I mean,
no, no.
seriously, take a break, buddy. It's about the team.
No, it is about the team. He is about the team.
Yeah, I saw
He's
that.
just a little.
I had to leave and go into the bedroom and put it on another channel because it irritated me so bad.
Really?
So I'm thinking about doing the whole NFC thing.
No,
I mean,
you're not
you
going
know,
to do
go
that.
San Fran.
Ray's a good man.
Yeah,
and,
he
and
is,
means well,
but
and,
he needs
and
to sit
he needs to
down.
what? He fires everybody up. I mean,
Just
wouldn't you like
sit
to
down
have him
and
as your keynote speaker at some
No.
motivational
Nope.
work, you know, thing?
So if you're paying him to come and speak, I'm not buying a ticket. So
Pay
that's
me,
it.
I'll
I mean,
come
right?
talk. I can
I know
motivate
that's
the
hurting
best
your
of- Who do you
feelings.
think motivated Ray?
That's right.
I call him Ray Ray. That's what I call him. But that's another story for
That
another
is.
day. But yeah, so Baltimore is what I'm going to go. So you're going to go San Fran?
I don't know. I'm just saying. I
You're-
mean,
you're
by
on the-
by
you're on the-
February the 3rd, you know,
you're
I'll
on
have
the
made up my
fence.
mind, but I'm still a little irked. I mean, I'm an only child. We don't get over things very quickly.
I understand
That's
that.
right.
How I understand
right.
that.
So
Anyway.
that'll teach you to make me mad.
So I don't ever try. It just happens. How?
It's
Why?
the boat. You didn't build
No.
the boat.
Breathing.
You were.
If I wake up and I'm still breathing, she's upset. Anyway, so, but we've got a great show.
We do.
Speaking of breathing.
Right, we do.
We have a wonderful show, in fact.
We do. You know what?
What?
I mean, Debbie Moore's in the house. Ron is taking a back seat this
He
week.
is.
I mean, we hate it. We miss him. We missed him last week, you know, but Debbie's coming in. She's got a new project for 2013 and so excited. And we've got Pete Vanderpool is here. He is the executive director of the Santa Project.
That's exactly right. You're right.
Absolutely. And now
a lot of interesting.
Right, I'm not even going to attempt to get this title right, but we do have Wendy Brown in the house, and she is the international director of Alilta. And this is very, very
Why
interesting.
is that so hard for you?
It's not very, it was just, I just don't know how many L's and E's are in there. That's all. And there's a T, but I can't, I have no memory.
Alilta.
Right.
I just got it just like that. I mean, Joyce just threw it out there, and without even listening, I heard it.
And I even typed it before.
Alilta.
So that's how
easy enough.
Short of a memory I have. So anyway, but she's got a very interesting subject that we don't really talk about that often, and so we're glad to have her.
Yes, we are.
And so we have a great show today.
We do, and we have James Dunn in the house.
James Dunn is in the house,
and
Ron is here. Ron is here.
Ron is here. Ron was Debbie's chauffeur today. He, as they like to say here, he carried her here.
Oh, okay.
Don't they say that
the
here?
Chauffeur, okay.
I carried her over there. But he really carried her. I
Right.
mean, he picked her up and he just carried her over here to the studio because, you know, today is kind of a different day because it's Wednesday. It's totally different than any other Wednesday of the week. Almost let that one out of the bag.
Yeah, he almost did. So we're going to go to break, don't you think, Joe? Before you talk anymore.
Before I talk myself out of it.
Before you talk out of it,
right? All right, we are going to go to break. We are going to come back with Pete and Wendy and Debbie when we return after this. Stay tuned. Visit Tennessee Liquidators and save up to 60% off retail prices. Tennessee Liquidators carries closeout and shelf pulls. All items are brand new. Electronics, everything from big screen TVs to notebooks, new toys, new bicycles, baby merchandise like high chairs, car seats, and strollers, household items like coffee makers, blenders, microwaves, vacuum cleaners, irons, and mini refrigerators. Tennessee Liquidators also carries a selection of furniture, including dinettes and patio furniture. You won't believe all the items to choose from under one roof with such low prices. Clothing starting at $1. Winter coats and boots, health and beauty items, makeup, hair color, shampoos, as well as cleaning supplies and detergents. Tennessee Liquidators, 154 Buchanan Road, 479-3912. Open Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. till 6 p.m.
Logan Thompson, attorneys at law, have built a firm offering quality legal services to the people and businesses of Southeast Tennessee. We have achieved expertise in all areas of law in order to represent our clients in a manner they need, deserve, and have come to expect. Logan Thompson, with 9 attorneys and an extensive and competent support staff, is available to provide representation in various legal areas, including family law, Social Security benefits, personal injury, criminal defense, workmen's compensation, as well as business and complex litigation matters. At Logan Thompson, we have been building a tradition of legal services for over 40 years. We have developed the finest legal services and are proficient in providing you with representation you can trust. Give us a call at 423-476-2251 to schedule your free consultation.
Kyle Motors, 802 20th Street Southeast in Cleveland, is the place to find quality pre-owned cars and trucks. Kyle offers on-the-spot financing on all vehicles on the lot. Each pre-owned vehicle goes through a complete inspection to make sure each car and truck meets the Kyle Motors standard. Warranty and extended warranties available on all vehicles. Kyle Motors will sell you a car or truck that you will be proud to drive for many years to come. See Tony, Bill, Dale, James, or David and let them put you in your next quality pre-owned vehicle. Kyle Motors, 802 20th Street Southeast. Phone 790-7100.
At Crawford Pharmacy, we offer custom compounding. Our pharmacists are known for their attention to detail and unique expertise. So visit us at 2260 Chambliss Avenue, Cleveland, Tennessee. For personal assistance, walk right in or come up to our convenient drive-thru. Crawford Pharmacy, serving our community one person at a time.
Town Americana, where trucks are big and bold, and a handshake Chevy is firm, and your word is gold. Don Ledford Chevy Buick GMC in Athens is a $2,000 drive. Maybe you're coming from here or here. Doesn't matter. Buying a truck from Don Ledford in Athens will save you at least $2,000 bucks. Don Ledford Chevy Buick GMC in Athens, a $2,000 drive worth making.
I'll take that drive every time.
Featuring some of the South's most scenic views, the Mountain View Inn has been a landmark in the Cleveland community for over 40 years. Our executive guest quarters with flat screen TVs and excellent bedding will make any guest comfortable. Carrie's Restaurant is one of Cleveland's favorite, with one of the best buffets around.
Hello, and on behalf of the Hughes family, thank you for so many years of your business and your friendship.
This segment of Tennessee Valley This Morning is brought to you by Crown Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, located at 511 South Lee Highway in Cleveland and 2120 Chapman Road, Chattanooga. For your next new or previously owned vehicle, make it Crown Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, the better way to buy.
Welcome back to Tennessee Valley This Morning. Again, Joe and Kim Palo with you. It is Wednesday. Don't be confused. Don't confuse this day for Monday. Totally two different days. We are now joined by our good friend,
Yes.
Debbie Moore, who is the knowledge behind the Moore family. Anything that Ron knows, it came from Debbie.
That's right.
That's right. It goes in most families that way, doesn't it?
Well,
He
not
is under the
enough.
sad impression that I know everything.
That's right. Well, I tell
Ask
Joe
Debbie, she knows.
that I know everything, but you are just an energetic fool over there, aren't you? I mean, you published a book last year of Confederate Voices. Confederate Voices, excellent book. You can get that here in town. I know it was at the Red Ribbon. Is it still at the Red Ribbon?
It's at the Red Ribbon and the Museum
And
Center.
the Museum Center. You can pick that up, and that is definitely a good read. It is so interesting, and it's not something that you have to sit down or you're going to be like, oh, what's getting ready to happen? It's things that you can take and process at a time and enjoy that particular story and then go on to another person's
It has
story.
been very interesting. I have done very well with that book. Matter of fact, the first weekend in February, I've been invited to do the sale and show, the Chickamauga Civil War show in Dalton.
Oh, wow.
And it's really one of the largest shows in the nation. 4,000 to 8,000 people are expected to come through there. So we'll see how that goes.
Wow.
I think that'll be a lot of fun talking to all
See,
those
Joe,
folks.
we might have to get on board and get to be Debbie's agent here because she's got a new project that she's
I
going to
know. Tell us about your
I
new
mean,
project.
anything.
Well, I looked around and I decided for 2013 I wanted to preserve another piece of history in Bradley County, so I'm going to do historic homes here. But I'm really attempting to get away from the ones that everyone already knows about.
Right.
And we have several pre-Civil War houses out in the county. And we have a few even removal houses from 1838 in the
Right.
county
Right.
that have had vinyl siding slapped on them, and they have the tin roofs on, and unless you know what you're looking at,
That's right.
you don't know. And this project kind of came about by the fact we'd be driving along, and Ron would say, "How old's that house?" And by the architecture, and the chimneys, and everything about the house, I can usually give him maybe a decade. Probably from the 1880s. And he said, you really need to be writing all this down.
Right.
So just in the past couple of days, of course, you guys know I always laugh about how things happen to me. Standing in line down at the aquarium the other afternoon, some young lady standing in front of me that I don't recall ever seeing. We started doing small talk, and she lives in a very historic house here in Bradley County that happens to have a cemetery with it, that I've never seen the cemetery. And the first burial there is 1856.
Wow.
And she really thinks her house is from the early 1900s, and I'm really hoping it's going to be a little bit older than that. But even the early 1900s. Now, there is a possibility that there might have been an old farmhouse there and it's been replaced. I haven't set my eyes on the house yet, but I'm really excited about that. So what I'm putting together are the histories of the houses, and I hope to find old pictures of the houses, families that live there, much like Confederate Voices, but it will be geared around farms and houses. I haven't quite decided on a name yet. I think it'll have the word home place in it somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Because when I talk about going back to the place where I grew up as a child, and my dad grew up as a child. We always call it the old home place.
Right.
And that's kind of what I'm trying to preserve here in Bradley County.
That's a neat name.
And I think we're going to kind of modernize it a little bit, that we're going to get the GPS addresses and hopefully make it kind of a driving tour.
Sure.
So that you could get in your car and drive by these homes and see them in person. So I think that'll be a lot of fun.
Right, and Cleveland, I don't think, well, I know that I don't, you do. You know the history and the wealth of history that is in this area, you know, in Bradley County and in the southeast, you know, Tennessee area and Georgia area, like you mentioned with Dalton. But, I mean, we are really blessed. I mean, a lot of things happened here. Ron has shared with us over the weeks. I mean, he's been with us for a long time, talking about the bridges that were here that got burnt and built back during the Civil War.
And people who don't live here will say, you people talk about the Civil War all the time. Well, we lived the Civil War. It was right here in our backyards, and it was just the perfect place for the troops to come, because we had all the roadways. We had the railroad coming here. We had all this wonderful water. We had the river, and so it was just a good place for the troops to come in and regroup and get ready to go somewhere else. And so we were kind of drug into this thing. So it is part of our history. Matter of fact, one of the houses that I've been invited to come look at, we know that a general stayed there, and it's not in Charleston where most of them are. It's down in the Black Fox community. Oh. And there's good documentation that there was a general there.
And there are soldiers, I mean actual Union soldiers even, that have been buried here in Cleveland.
And Confederate soldiers.
Yes, Confederate, but even, you know, you wouldn't expect that so much, but, you know, people died along the way and didn't get back home or recognized where they were, and
this
so
was
we do
their
have
final
those,
resting place.
This was, so.
And I've always thought, because of all that, because of all the history here, I've always thought, and I've never been a fan of it, although I've thought, I think I would like to be, wouldn't this be a great place with a metal detector? You go up to some of these places, you know what I'm saying?
We didn't really have the battle spot here, though. Like
No, but I mean, but buttons off their jackets and
down in
medals.
the Blue Springs Valley and down in the Black Fox Valley, Michigan Avenue is called Michigan Avenue because the Michigan troops were out there. And there are tremendous, I mean, they were here for months at a time. And when you went out on patrol, you loaded your gun, you went out on patrol. When you came back, you had to empty your gun before you came into the camp. So you find used bullets, although they weren't used in battle, they were used bullets. A lot of times when they knew that they were going to war, the Union soldiers took off those big breastplates and just threw them down because it was a target.
Right.
It was a target. And we find buttons. Everything's been found here.
Right.
Gun stocks. And it's kind of like when they got finished with the camp, they would just dump it all. So there are treasures here in the ground.
Places.
And we
Dear
found.
Lord, are you going to go get a metal detector?
I might.
I'm telling you. Wake
And
up
of
tomorrow,
course, last week's water, all of last week's rain, and this week's freeze, and a lot of the farmers are digging up the bottomlands right now to replant in the spring, and they uncover the arrowheads all the time and the bullets all the time. But I want everyone to help me find houses.
Right.
I'm sure there's a lot of houses out there that I'm not aware of, and so they can contact me. A good way to contact me is I'm on Whoop Radio every Saturday morning doing Old Town Cleveland at 10 o'clock. We usually get there about 45 minutes before the show starts, and they can just call us on the line there and talk with me. They can email me at bradleyfolks@aol.com. And if all else fails, you can't find me anywhere else, you can call Black Fox Elementary School and leave a number for me to call you back, and I'd be glad to call you back, because I don't want anyone's house to be missed.
Right.
Now, isn't it true, and I think Ron may have told us, isn't there like the oldest house in Bradley County is on the Hardwick Farms or out there? Wasn't there a house that was preserved, an old little home that was out there in the middle of nowhere that was, am I right about that? Am I saying something wrong here?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Maybe not Hardwick Farms.
I live with that
but Ron said there's a little home that has been, they were going to try to put on the historical register, I guess, that's in the middle of the farmland out there that was an old home that's been, maybe this is one of the lies Ron told me that
maybe
that
you might not.
Ron?
I'm not recognizing the story.
And you wouldn't know. I was waiting for a light to come over your head, and you go, but your puzzled look.
But to tell you,
it's another lie he told me.
You know, just to kind of bring this all home, down on Dalton Pike, there's a home down there that I went to the location that I thought it should be, and obviously there was a house there from the 1930s, and I thought, well, we missed that one. And I was looking for a pre-removal home. And then I continued to read the old newspaper articles. And then I started finding indications that it had been moved, the home had been moved. Then I started asking the 100-year-olds and the 90-year-olds and the 80-year-olds in the community and found a pre-removal house. And it was the home of Judge Jack Martin. And even the troops, he was the treasurer for the Indian Nation while they were still here, and he was the judge and the treasurer for the nation, so he's a very important person. And the troops came from Charleston, surrounded the home at daylight. They arrested everyone in the house, which was all the officers for the Cherokee Nation except John Ross, and he was in Washington doing business. Took all the paperwork for the Cherokee Nation, the financial paperwork, to Charleston and the people. And so I got the preservationists for the Cherokee Nation to come look at the house and contacted Frank Norris with the National Park Service. And when I went to the National Trail of Tears this year, sitting there, and they said there's 4 sites in the nation that have been certified as places on the National Trails of Tears, and that house popped up on the screen.
No kidding.
I was beside myself.
No kidding.
Beside myself. And we,
well, good for you.
Yeah, I'll
Look
tell
at
you.
you. I mean, somebody.
Well, you know, and the poor little people that lived in the house thought they were living in an early 1900s farmhouse until I came knocking upon their door. And I told them if they ever had the opportunity to pull up the floor, I wanted to see what was under there. If we found logs that had not the dovetail notches, but if they had straight notches and they were still the whole log, it was probably a Cherokee house. And they called me one day and said, you must come. And here I go, lickety-split. The floor had settled and they had pulled it up and there were those logs just like I said they would be, just because those preservationists had trained me. Because they knew I was digging around under all the houses in Bradley County. And that was the one thing that really put them over the top, that they could date that house by that. But, you know, we have up in Charleston, we have some houses that aren't the original house, but they're sitting on the original foundation from the removal, as Greg Kaler's house is such a case that. We have the Henniger house that we know is from 1850. It was probably the first brick structure in Bradley County, and there it sits still today. Across the spring from it is the Aikens house that was built just a couple years after the Civil War. And then down in the corner is a smaller house that one of the soldiers of Lieutenant Aiken came and lived there in that little house on his captain's yard. I mean, it's just a fascinating place, and there's so much history here that has not been discovered, or if it's been discovered, it hasn't been written about. So I'm going to write this book in 2013.
Since you got nothing else to do.
Since I've got nothing else to do.
Full time. She's got a granddaughter, for goodness sakes. I mean, she puts up with Ron all the time. I mean, how much more? And
the Ron thing is the worst part.
Right, but Ron thing's the worst. But you know what? I mean, she's the person to go antiquing with. I mean, she knows things. And so where I'm picking up something that's not worth a whole lot, you'll be able to save me. I said, no, Kim, that's
and we do have the documentary that we finished in 2012 coming out, we hope really soon, I'd say in February sometime, about Caney Creek, the little village that was up on the corner.
We're going to air it here on WTMB.
I hope you do.
We are going to air it,
we know some people.
I'm really proud of it. I think that it's, you know, everybody's grandma and grandpa have stories about growing up and they rode in buggies or they rode in T-models and they remember the first radio and all this, but only a handful of people have this story. And we found them while they were still living and they could tell their stories. We interviewed 6 people from their early 70s up to 98 years and 11 months old.
There you go. There you go.
She told me she was 98 years, 11 months, and 20 days old.
There you go.
But who's counting?
We look forward to that in February, that coming out. She's done a lot of great work.
And when we get closer to that.
Was really the catalyst for that.
Oh yeah, and we've talked about it recently. So when you guys get all that put to bed and get it ready to go, we'll have you back on, obviously, and we'll talk about that, and then we'll air that and let folks know when that's going to air, because that is going to be very interesting.
Right, we will.
So the new book is going to be out, when do you think, toward the end of the year, maybe?
I think maybe in 12 months.
Okay.
I would
And
hope
don't
to
forget the Voices, the Confederate Voices.
Confederate Voices,
Excellent.
yeah.
And that's
It
at
has
the
done really
Red
well.
Ribbon and at the museum gift
Center,
store
yep.
in there, and you can pick that up anytime. And that's absolutely worth the read. And every Saturday morning from 10 until noon on Whoop, you will listen to both, and that's 99.9.
I have no idea what this week's show is going to be
You
about.
know.
I thought I knew until a few minutes ago, and
Now,
I got
talked
a
to
Dear
James
John
Carden.
letter.
No, it's not Dear James Carden. I talked to him. He said he's been invited to come on.
He
Dairy Cream.
has. He
And
needs
so-
to get with us and get on.
I know.
We need to get.
I know. I've been trying to get him on here too, because that has been
They are
around for a
very
long
busy
time,
people.
since 1966.
Six.
That their family brought it, but even before then, it was called the Little Pig or the something.
The Little Pig, I think, or I'm not sure. But then his mom and dad had another restaurant downtown.
Right.
And we're really looking forward to having the Cardens on.
Yeah. Good family, of course.
We've invited them and the Couches.
Okay. Yeah.
Couches
Barbecue.
Barbecue.
Oh, yeah.
1946.
All right, there we
No
go.
kidding.
Good
Yeah.
stuff. Good
In fact, we
stuff.
went
Thank
there not
you,
too
Debbie.
long ago.
We did.
We went to Couches. Anyway.
Thank you for inviting
Thank
me.
you so much for being on, Deb. And again, we get a little closer to the documentary. Just we'll have you back and let us know when it's done, and then we'll let people know when it's going to air here.
Well, that'll be fun. Thank you very much.
All right. Debbie Moore, the brains behind the Moore family. I say that, and I tell Ron the same thing when he's here.
Yeah.
You got to work both sides. Anyway, so we're going to be back with more of Tennessee Valley this morning. When we return after these messages, please stay tuned.
Town Americana, where trucks are big and bold, and a handshake is firm, and your word is gold. Don Ledford Chevy Buick GMC in Athens is a $2,000 drive. Maybe you're coming from here or here, doesn't matter. Buying a truck from Don Ledford in Athens will save you at least $2,000. Don Ledford Chevy Buick GMC in Athens, a $2,000 drive worth making.
I'll take that drive every time.
At Crawford Pharmacy, we offer custom compounding. Our pharmacists are known for their attention to detail and unique expertise. So visit us at 2260 Chambliss Avenue, Cleveland, Tennessee. For personal assistance, walk right in or come up to our convenient drive-thru. Crawford Pharmacy, serving our community one person at a time.
Kyle Motors, 802 20th Street Southeast in Cleveland, is the place to find quality pre-owned cars and trucks. Kyle offers on-the-spot financing on all vehicles on the lot. Each pre-owned vehicle goes through a complete inspection to make sure each car and truck meets the Kyle Motors standard. Warranty and extended warranties available on all vehicles. Kyle Motors will sell you a car or truck that you will be proud to drive for many years to come. See Tony, Bill, Dale, James, or David and let them put you in your next quality pre-owned vehicle. Kyle Motors, 802 20th Street Southeast. Phone 790-7100.
Logan Thompson, attorneys at law, have built a firm offering quality legal services to the people and businesses of Southeast Tennessee. We have achieved expertise in all areas of law in order to represent our clients in a manner they need, deserve, and have come to expect. Logan Thompson, with 9 attorneys and an extensive and competent support staff, is available to provide representation in various legal areas, including family law, Social Security benefits, personal injury, criminal defense, workmen's compensation, as well as business and complex litigation matters. At Logan Thompson, we have been building a tradition of legal services for over 40 years. We have developed the finest legal services and are proficient in providing you with representation you can trust. Give us a call at 423-476-2251 to schedule your free consultation.
Visit Tennessee Liquidators and save up to 60% off retail prices. Tennessee Liquidators carries closeout and shelf pulls. All items are brand new.
electronics, everything from big screen TVs to notebooks, new toys, new bicycles, baby merchandise like high chairs, car seats, and strollers, household items like coffee makers, blenders, microwaves, vacuum cleaners, irons, and mini refrigerators. Tennessee Liquidators also carries a selection of furniture, including dinettes and patio furniture. You won't believe all the items to choose from under one roof with such low prices. Clothing starting at $1. Winter coats and boots, health and beauty items, makeup, hair color, shampoos, as well as cleaning supplies and detergents. Tennessee Liquidators, 154 Buchanan Road, 479-3912. Open Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. till 6 p.m.
Featuring some of the South's most scenic views, the Mountain View Inn has been a landmark in the Cleveland community for over 40 years. Our executive guest quarters with flat screen TVs and excellent bedding will make any guest comfortable. Carrie's Restaurant is one of Cleveland's favorite, with one of the best buffets around.
Hello, and on behalf of the Hughes family, thank you for so many years of your business and your friendship.
This segment of Tennessee Valley This Morning is brought to you by Crown Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, located at 511 South Lee Highway in Cleveland and 2120 Chapman Road, Chattanooga. For your next new or previously owned vehicle, make it Crown Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, the better way to buy.
Welcome back to Tennessee Valley This Morning. Glad you've joined us here on this middle of the week Wednesday. We now are joined by Wendy Brown of Alilta, which you're sitting here wondering, well, what exactly? I got it. What is Alilta, and what is Wendy going to talk to these folks about? Well, you're gonna find out here in just a second. A problem you may not think is as big as what it is in our area, especially, but it is. So, Wendy, first of all, thank you for being with us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
We appreciate you.
I mean, getting up and getting out so early.
That's right.
Yes, I know.
It's not new for some people, Kim, to get up and get out early. But Wendy, if you will, tell us a little bit about Alilta and exactly what it entails.
Okay. I grew up here in Cleveland area, and but ended up many years later in Africa. So when I was in Ethiopia, we began to work with women in prostitution while there. And just through different circumstances, ended up back in Cleveland, and just had a heart to continue that work. Alilta is an Amharic word from Ethiopia, and it's actually a sound. I'm not really good with the sound, but Alilta is really, you may have heard that on documentaries that include, you know, the African context.
Well. She does
Thank
that
you.
Great.
That's it, exactly. Right.
Who knew I could speak Ethiopian?
That sound, though, is joy that starts very deep inside, and it just bubbles up and bubbles out and has to come out into a sound. So that's what Alilta is.
Okay.
We're an organization. Our goal is to see that one more woman can find freedom from exploitation. Human trafficking is sort of the buzzword right now. In the media, a lot of celebrities are addressing the issue, and you know, our work is more hands-on. You know, in human trafficking, everybody kind of hears about it. We hear the numbers. We hear that, you know, there are 37 million slaves in the world today, whether that's, you know, domestic labor, slavery, or the sex trade, which is more what we focus on. But, you know, that number becomes this hazy kind of number that's beyond our comprehension, you know? And what we hope to do is to help people kind of focus down and find their niche in helping one more woman. You know, that girl or that young woman who's trapped in prostitution.
Right, and like you were talking about it before, it doesn't have the face that we think it does in our area. In our area, it's very sad. I mean, it's not something that you want to put on the back of a flyer and, you know, put out there as they do in Vegas. But this is a very, very harsh situation in our area.
It is, and I've met young girls. I've met women in their 50s, all ages in between in this area who are in some way, they've either been trafficked or they are trapped in prostitution.
Right.
And you know, one of the hardest things I've found is really helping people be aware that it's not this social justice, just this social justice issue that's out there, but it is a living, breathing, wounded young girl right here in Bradley County, right in our own hometown.
Right. Now, a question I had asked before we went on air, and it may, a lot of people may have this perception. I always perceived human trafficking as being young girls that have been taken, like you said from the movie, taken, kidnapped, taken to another country and thrown into the world of prostitution and being trafficked as a sex slave for this person, this group, or whatever, but it being done through a kidnapping thing. That's really, as you said, it's really not the case. It just could be something that they hang something over your head, basically.
Right, and you know, I have 3 teenagers, and I have educated them with the whole kidnapping thing. You know, don't allow that to happen. Be aware. Watch your back.
Right.
But it's actually a low percentage of people who are actually kidnapped and forced into prostitution. You know, it's more deceptive than that. It's 20-year-old young men who will, you know, meet a young girl in high school and just show her, maybe for the first time in her life, you're beautiful, I love you. And she's taken in that sense by him. And, you know, then it goes from there. She's, you know, forced then into prostitution. And, you know, we look at them and say, well, why don't they just leave?
Right.
Right. Well, oftentimes their captor will say to them, you know, if you leave, I know where your family lives and we can hurt your family.
Right.
I have seen stories where the young girls are just given alcohol and drugs right away, and that addiction starts immediately. And so they end up having to do that.
Right.
There are just so many ways that you know, I've seen an older woman who was forced into prostitution, not for money, but she was living in a very dangerous area, and the gangs, the local thugs, whatever you want to call them, kept her safe.
Right.
That
in
kind
exchange
of
for
thing.
sexual,
In exchange,
you know,
we tend to think, you know, it's this woman who's dressed a certain way, and she's standing on a street corner, when it could be any woman, any girl, who is forced to trade anything.
Right.
You know, there's a growing number of young girls who are, their college education is being paid. You know, if you just do this, then we can pay for your college. And really, you know, you're poor, you don't have any other way of going to college. And that's what they're told.
Is it some type of maybe a brainwashing, so to speak? You know, they get, like you said, they getting told all these wonderful things, and maybe like the Patty Hearst thing that happened many years ago, where maybe they fall in love with these men that are saying that, and they feel like they will do anything for them because they love them, or they're in this brainwashing effect that they think this is the only person that cares for me, and that type of thing.
That's part of it. You know, there's this whole, you know, with any kind of abuse, often there's a grooming time when the perpetrator just, you know, does a variety of things to gain their confidence or their trust.
Right.
And
then it's hard to, and then you've got a whole mindset, and then there's the embarrassment that you bought it to begin with, you know.
Right.
And then, I mean, what you were talking about, the education, once they get that education, then there's that shame that they have to hold over them after that. You know, I'll tell some, if you don't continue to do this, you know, we're going to tell your new boss or whatever what you've done. Right.
And a lot of times perpetrators will bring up debt. In other words, they'll take, you know, this young man has this high school girl now, and he takes her out to eat and buys her clothes and gives her a cell phone. And then at some point, he'll often just say, okay, you know what, I can't keep spending all this money on you. I've spent, oh, look, it's $2,000. You're going to have to pay me back.
Right.
Well, how is she going to do that? You know, and the thing is we tend to look at women and girls in prostitution as trash. And that breaks my heart. You know, when you look at statistics and how, you know, up to 98% of the women in prostitution were sexually abused as a child.
Sure.
Those kinds of numbers, 77% of women in prostitution were trafficked into it. You know,
Wow.
it's not a choice.
Right. And then it's so hard to get away, and then almost your whole will, your spirit. You know, we talk about, well, just get up and get over it. You know, people said that about depression. Just get up. Don't be depressed. Get and go be happy. Yeah.
Right.
So it's the same thing with that. Once you get beaten down so many times, sometimes it's, you don't even know how to start. And who do you trust?
Right.
You, look what happened when you trusted before. Here, you know, here I am.
Exactly. You're hard by then. And that's just taken away. It robs a person of dignity.
Right.
You know, and we tend to focus on women within ALILTA.
Right.
It does happen to young boys and men as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. I was going to say, is there a problem, you know, I know with young boys and men that get involved. Now, Wendy, if somebody is watching that, that needs help in that way and may not know how to even go about, may be scared to death, because I know that's another part to play, that fright that, you know, look, like you said, I'll kill your family or whatever. What's the first step? What do they need to do? Who do they need to contact? What's the best way to go about getting started?
You know, often contacting an authority such as a school counselor or a teacher. It would be for high school students or middle school, whatever the age, a teacher or school counselor is, you know, my greatest recommendation.
And that is a safe place, kids. I mean, if there are kids watching, to know that that really is a safe place.
Right. And it's huge for children and teens to understand that it's okay to say something. You know, their perpetrators have told them no, and you must keep it a secret, but you've got to be able to speak and say something.
If they want you to keep it a secret, there's a reason why.
Something
and it's
wrong.
not your fault, right? It's not you that needs to keep the secret. It's them that needs to keep a secret. So don't.
Would you suggest they get in touch with the authorities? Would that be or is that maybe?
Police authorities, yes, but I would probably suggest someone closer, somewhere trusted.
Right.
They're being watched all the time.
Right.
It's not like, you know, they necessarily go to their homes or go to their own apartment when the day's done or when the night's done in this case. No, they're being kept behind locked doors, and when they do go out, you know, a lot of times, you know, what you can look for, you know, I have people ask, well, how do you recognize someone? Well, you know, a lot of times they're just a little more nervous. Maybe they're always with someone.
Or they're not socially independent. They can't just go to the movies with you, or
exactly.
They've got to check with somebody, or they've got to get home first, or whatever. In a sense.
I have a lot of people who ask, you know, well, what do you do if you suspect someone is being trafficked? And, you know, that's a very careful line there, because you know, approaching them can get them killed,
right,
or worse,
right,
really. And so you want to be very careful. Approach, you know, talk to authorities first.
Right.
There is a national hotline number. You can Google that. I don't have that with me.
That's right
today,
but you can Google it, and it's ELLITA.
ILTA.
ILTA. I will never get that right.
ELLIL.
It's on your screen. I know. I typed it right.
And that's our website. Here in Cleveland, we're working on some prevention programs. We've talked in some of the high schools. We're working on we have an artist and a writer, one who's local, who's working on doing a webcomic, because we go into high schools and find that we don't have a good resource for that kids want to go back to.
Right.
And so webcomics are huge right now, and we can tell a story without ever using the word trafficking or prostitution, and teach prevention methods that way.
Excellent. Well, thank you for being with us.
And Wendy, and now that I'm looking, Kim, if you did put that on there.
Did I spell it wrong?
Well, I think he did spell it right now. I think James may have fixed it. ELLILTA, International.
I'll be here next week.
Right. Alita?
ALILTA.
ALILTA. I keep wanting to say Alita.
That's it.
Alilta International, and of course, Wendy, we appreciate all that you do.
We
all
just
that
don't
you do in the
realize
group.
it's just right next door sometimes.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much for the opportunity to
We'd
get
love
this
to have
out.
you on again, maybe, and talk with you a little bit more about this too.
Sure. Oh, it would be
Maybe down the
wonderful.
road. Thank you so much. Wendy Brown of Alilta International. And if you know someone that's in this situation, again, Google Alilta. You can find out the hotline number, give them a call, go to the authorities. If you're a high school student, middle school, go to your school counselor, principal, teachers. Tell somebody. Tell somebody. All right, we're going to be back. We got Pete Vanderpool in the house when we return with more of Tennessee Valley this morning. After this, stay tuned. Visit Tennessee Liquidators and save up to 60% off retail prices. Tennessee Liquidators carries closeout and shelf pulls. All items are brand new. Electronics, everything from big screen TVs to notebooks, new toys, new bicycles, baby merchandise like high chairs, car seats, and strollers, household items like coffee makers, blenders, microwaves, vacuum cleaners, irons, and mini refrigerators. Tennessee Liquidators also carries a selection of furniture, including dinettes and patio furniture. You won't believe all the items to choose from under one roof with such low prices. Clothing starting at $1. Winter coats and boots, health and beauty items, makeup, hair color, shampoos, as well as cleaning supplies and detergents. Tennessee Liquidators, 154 Buchanan Road, 479-3912. Open Monday through Saturday, 9 a.m. till 6 p.m.
Logan Thompson, attorneys at law, have built a firm offering quality legal services to the people and businesses of Southeast Tennessee. We have achieved expertise in all areas of law in order to represent our clients in a manner they need, deserve, and have come to expect. Logan Thompson, with 9 attorneys and an extensive and competent support staff, is available to provide representation in various legal areas, including family law, Social Security benefits, personal injury, criminal defense, workmen's compensation, as well as business and complex litigation matters. At Logan Thompson, we have been building a tradition of legal services for over 40 years. We have developed the finest legal services and are proficient in providing you with representation you can trust. Give us a call at 423-476-2251 to schedule your free consultation.
Kyle Motors, 802 20th Street Southeast in Cleveland, is the place to find quality pre-owned cars and trucks. Kyle offers on-the-spot financing on all vehicles on the lot. Each pre-owned vehicle goes through a complete inspection to make sure each car and truck meets the Kyle Motors standard. Warranty and extended warranties available on all vehicles. Kyle Motors will sell you a car or truck that you will be proud to drive for many years to come. See Tony, Bill, Dale, James, or David and let them put you in your next quality pre-owned vehicle. Kyle Motors, 802 20th Street Southeast. Phone 790-7100.
At Crawford Pharmacy, we offer custom compounding. Our pharmacists are known for their attention to detail and unique expertise. So visit us at 2260 Chambliss Avenue, Cleveland, Tennessee. For personal assistance, walk right in or come up to our convenient drive-thru. Crawford Pharmacy, serving our community one person at a time.
Town Americana, where trucks are big and bold, and a handshake is firm, and your word is gold. Don Ledford Chevy Buick GMC in Athens is a $2,000 drive. Maybe you're coming from here or here. Doesn't matter. Buying a truck from Don Ledford in Athens will save you at least $2,000. Don Ledford Chevy Buick GMC in Athens, a $2,000 drive worth making.
I'll take that drive every time.
Featuring some of the South's most scenic views, the Mountain View Inn has been a landmark in the Cleveland community for over 40 years. Our executive guest quarters with flat screen TVs and excellent bedding will make any guest comfortable. Carrie's Restaurant is one of Cleveland's favorite, with one of the best buffets around.
Hello, and on behalf of the Hughes family, thank you for so many years of your business and your friendship.
This segment of Tennessee Valley This Morning is brought to you by Crown Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram, located at 511 South Lee Highway in Cleveland and 2120 Chapman Road, Chattanooga. For your next new or previously owned vehicle, make it Crown, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, the better way to buy.
Welcome back to Tennessee Valley this morning. Once again on this middle of the week Wednesday, Joe and Kim Palo, now joined by our good friend Pete Vanderpool.
I know.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for inviting me. I always enjoy being with you too.
Oh, and we enjoy always having you for many, many, many reasons. Always doing a great work, and of course.
And Joe is always asking for something. I don't know why.
Right. Well, because I know the Santa thing still rides high there too.
Coal and switches.
So I'm waiting for next year.
That's my man.
I'm wanting him to see me a lot, see how good I'm being. Then next year, maybe I'll get that gift that has the key that you turn and that kind of thing. We'll talk about that later.
I keep telling you, if I get that, I'm keeping it.
That's right.
I know.
He keeps the good stuff. You keep the good
right,
stuff.
Right.
There you go.
That's
right.
That's the kind of Santa. That's the kind of Santa I would be. But let's talk about the Santa Project. You got a lot of things going on, and the Santa Project's just one. But let's go through some of this stuff. The Santa Project. I know you're pursuing additional ways to educate children and adults with the Santa Project.
True.
Tell us some of those new ways.
Well, one of the things that has happened to us, we can't get into schools like we used to. We've discovered that we can talk to foster parents and grandparents who are raising kids. And the sad thing is that the kind of stuff that you were talking about earlier with Wendy is not in their purview. And the kids, when they learn something at school, they don't run home and say, guess what I learned today? No, they don't do that. So we've had an opportunity to educate them. But as time has gone along, we've also discovered that the time slips program is appropriate for anywhere. The time slips program comes out of the University of Wisconsin in Milwaukee. It is an accredited program for people with dementia, mid to upper end. Mm-hmm. It is a creative storytelling thing, and storytelling fits into what we do in the Santa Project. But you take people about 10 at a time, put them in a semicircle, and give them a crazy picture. Each one gets the same crazy picture. My favorite is this, it's got to be a rug, but it's a polar bear, and this polar bear is laying flat. In front of him is a newspaper. On the top of his head are glasses. And then you say to all of these people, well, what's he doing? Ask open-ended questions. What happens is that these people who may be withdrawn will all of a sudden get involved. And you'll get crazy answers. Well, there's somebody up in the front writing these crazy answers. Alice said, his name has got to be Dummy. So you write down, Alice says Dummy. You keep going with that, and you keep asking questions, and the people will begin to interact. The caregivers in the back of the room see the interaction, and they say, you know, Mrs. Jones is kind of fun. Well, then when they're with Mrs. Jones, you don't ask her, do you remember? No. It's, did you have fun today? Yeah, that was fun. Are you going to do it again next week? Yeah, I'm going to be there. So now you've created something that they look forward to, and the family realizes there's something different about mom or dad or aunt or uncle. And so they're willing to kind of get involved in that too.
That is wonderful.
Yeah, there's not many programs that are focused with people with dementia because they're so hard at being successful. And so when you can get just thought processes in a sense, as crazy as it might be, I was the director at Morningside forever, and I watered a plant for 2 years that did not exist and never, well, I mean, I did tell her for like 3 months that it wasn't there. After a while, I just watered it. I mean, I took it to the sink and and it wasn't there, but there's some really great stuff that comes from people with dementia, and it's just tapping into having them to come out of their shell because so often they go in. So that's a great program, Pete.
And every once in a while in the story, the questions, something will come out that you realize they're remembering something, but you don't ask.
Right.
You just don't ask. And then when they're done with the session, maybe half an hour, 45-minute long session, then we write a synopsis of what they have done, and make it available to anybody who wants it.
See, I think that is such a wonderful thing because, as we all know, and as we get older, we feel it too, but in our society, the old folks with dementia or with just becoming elderly always seem to kind of be just pushed to the side. You know, the younger crowd has no use for you. You're getting crazy. You're talking in riddles. And over here, in other societies, the old are revered. They're wise. They look up to. And it's sad here because they are wise and they should be revered and looked up to. But in our society, it seems like, so I think anything we can do to kind of bring attention to the folks and giving them their, what I want to say, their sense of worth, maybe that they still feel like they have a purpose, I think is wonderful because a lot of that becomes, and the worse it gets, the worse it gets. You get somebody with dementia, and if you don't kind of try to spark here and there, sooner or later they do go into this shell, and then it's history.
Right, and we know that nothing heals that. I mean,
no,
there is not a program out there or anything going on that is going to say,
keep them as sharp as possible for as long as possible.
But that thought process, that's really a great program. You know something, don't you, about things?
Oh, well, there also is some evidence that it delays the onset.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
So when they're in the mid-range of that, it's not going to all of a sudden be out there.
Right.
It's just a fun program. It truly is.
And see, and Kim's dad, may he rest in peace, he suffered with dementia there at the end. And I know there was different things they did with him, but a program.
Now he had an inability to speak.
Right.
He had primary progressive aphasia, so
but he could think.
Program would have done the best for him. But to be able to look at something and have the thought process, even if he couldn't articulate, it still would have been something to help him to exercise his mind, which he. Got to where people, again, like Joe was talking about, we didn't, and it was bad because we wouldn't talk to him sometimes.
His own family,
right, it was horrible. I mean, I would go home and I'd tell, look, Joe, I didn't talk. But a lot of the elderly that I worked with, they said the biggest thing that they miss is just eye contact, that people don't look them in the eyes anymore. So, Now, where are you going to be in April?
Oh, in April.
Where are you going to be?
That's another whole story, and it's Wendy's fault. It is Wendy's fault, yes.
Keynote, not just a speaker,
keynote and workshop, yes, workshop facilitator and keynote speaker for the Southeast Christian Writers Conference, which is held right here in Cleveland.
Yes.
And the funny part of it is that I'm a storyteller, right?
Right.
Okay, so anyway, a couple of years ago, Wendy said, would you do a breakout session? I'm thinking, okay, I'm a storyteller. These are writers. I'm going to give a breakout session. Okay. So I did. And the funny thing was people came. And they enjoyed.
No kidding.
But even writers they're writing story. The difference is that I talk my story. And I have to create pictures like the Sunday Funnies that you can follow along.
Right.
And I get instant gratification. If you like my story, there's a smile on your face or you're just staring at me. A writer doesn't get that gratification. They get the gratification you buy the book.
Right.
Okay, but storytelling, but anyway, here I'm going to be a keen, and you can imagine I'm going to have some fun with this.
Oh,
That's right. I know.
I bet.
Tell a story or two. And now there is an event coming up for storytellers in February, I think you said?
February the 8th at the museum for 5 Points. Just lost her name.
Megan Hicks.
Megan Hicks is coming. She's known as the Origami Swami.
Okay.
She will be going into 6 schools thanks to the generosity of the Allied Arts Council. And there's a long title. They're connected with the Chamber of Commerce. And,
hey, Nancy.
Yes. Thank you, Nancy.
That's right. You're the woman, Nancy. She'll be on
well,
tomorrow.
real quick, Pete. Now, somebody wants to come to that event. I know it's February the 8th. It's at 7 o'clock at the Museum Center.
That's correct.
Is it free to the public?
I believe there are tickets available.
Yeah, I would think so. Yes. Nancy's not going to let anything
I know.
Get
I
out
know.
of here.
If it helps the Allied Arts,
$5,
$5.
$5
But
again.
it's,
$5.
a maximum of $15. Bring the family.
Oh,
Yeah.
there
You got
go.
10 kids, bring them. You know, cost you 15.
And there's
bucks.
nothing better. And you tell a great story.
Well, and Megan's going to be there as well, right?
She is the
She
one.
is the
She's
one.
the only one.
Okay.
Right,
She's
she's
the
the
one
only
that's going to be telling the story there. And again, this is presented the generosity of the Arts and Education Committee of the Allied Arts Council and the Chamber of Commerce.
Correct.
So that's the 8th at 7 o'clock, and then April 26th and 27th, Friday and Saturday, you will be the keynote speaker and facilitator for the workshop at the Southeast Christian Writers Conference, and that is going to be where?
It's at that church I never can remember. It's on Peerless Road. It used to be Westwood Baptist, and they
Oh,
moved.
it's
yeah, it's
United Christian
That's
Church.
it, yeah,
United Christian Church.
Church.
Great
Okay,
church.
right?
Great place
Yeah,
to be.
they're okay. So they're doing that conference again. We had they didn't do it last year.
Okay,
I don't think.
we got to go, Kim. We're running out of time. Hey, guys, we
I
want to
know
thank Pete. We
something.
want to thank
We gotta
Wendy.
go.
We want to thank Debbie for being on the show. We'll see you next Wednesday on Tennessee Valley This Morning. Thank you so much for watching. Have yourself a good rest of the week.
Thank you.